The replacement log for RA1 is now cut for the dovetail, so we pulled out the back log. So this is BA1, and we wanted to make sure that that was going to be a good fit here with the dovetail, and as you can see, it's looking pretty nice. Got a little bit of a gap there, but looks like a good fit. So now we've got RA1's replacement is done on both sides. Got a nice fit in here. This is the old little chink that's gone, and I'm actually thinking about moving this log up and putting another replacement log here. So this is FA2, the front A level 2 log, but this notch was cut out for this window, which was so low that I don't like it. So we may see if we can raise that up a bit, put another log here, and then put this log on top of it so that we can get a higher window. So I've got to find a replacement log for that one too, I guess. All right, the second replacement log on the right side, which I guess would be RB1, is a new log as well. So I had to muscle that one up as well, but this is a really good view of the dovetail. I'm going to try and roll this log over and just sit it right down in here. So this little notch should fall right in here. Got a little strap here for some safety this time, because this thing, if it falls off, it's going to be bad news. And then we've got the notch over here as well. So here's the dovetail, technically half dovetail, and this notch should rest right in there. So we'll see how we did. We got a problem with this knot right here. It's not sitting right. The second log is, or second replacement log, RB1, is in place. Pretty good dovetail there. As I talked about earlier, there was a knot here where this was touching, so this is a lot narrower of a gap than I would want. It looks good, but I prefer it to be a little bit, a couple inches bigger actually, so we'll need to shave some of that down. But the most important thing is these dovetails look pretty good. So we'll try and hold this thing in place, and now we've got 2 logs up. Now that we've got RC1 lifted and put up on the right side, so again, that's the right side, level C, which is the 3rd row, and 1 being the only log in the series. One of the challenges we've got, and the biggest frustrations I'm kind of running into, is one is, you know, we use replacement logs on the bottom 2 rows. On the top row, you know, I went ahead and used this one, even though it's not in great shape, but it's a solid beam. It's got a little bit of rot in here, but the core of the log seems to be pretty solid, and it's you know, still the right size, but you can definitely see a difference between the replacement logs and the original log, first of all. And then you've got to engineer it such that this gap where it's going to sit is going to be big enough between the logs so that it'll, you know, have an area in between to chink and to breathe and to just fit, so that they can't, if they touch, it's going to be a little bit unstable. You want the pressure in the joint, the downward force in the joint. So as you can see here, we've got 2 knotty logs. The original log had a knot here, and then the new log's got a knot here, and then the original log has a knot here. So this actually works quite well because they mimic each other. But as you move farther down, we've got problems like right here. This knot is going to be, once we set it in place, there's not enough room here, so this is going to touch. It's almost touching already. And then the farther down we get the similar type thing here. We've got a knot here, a rise here, a rise here, and obviously once we lower this into place, it's going to sit right here. So we've got a, you know, at least a 2-inch gap here, and this is more than or less than 2 inches. So I'm gonna have to shave this log down a little bit. I'm gonna shave the new one down, not the old one, because I want to keep the old one as original as I can. But again, it's just every piece is new and different and has its own challenges. I wish it was just as easy as putting the whole thing back together again, but it's not. I'm going a little old school on this replacement log, which was RB1, which is a little high across here, so that this original log was touching it. So what they used to do is hew the logs down, and they would take an axe and every foot or so cut some notches in the log. And so that's what I'm trying to do here again. So you notch it with an axe, and then they'd come in with a broad axe. I found this baby on eBay. I think it's supposedly a 1870s broad axe, and you'd come in with this and in between the notches cut that out. Cut each of the notches out all the way down. That's how the old school guys did it. New school guys probably have a chainsaw. I got a chainsaw, but it's actually some cases it's easier doing it this way because a little too much for my little electric chainsaw. And this little bad boy is called a draw knife, and I actually found this in the cabin hanging on the wall before we moved it. So I grabbed it. I didn't know what kind of shape it's in, but it's actually still pretty sharp. And they'd use this either to clean the bark off, which is great for that. You just come in and it's like a big wide chisel, and you can carve, debark all the trees, which I'm going to need to do eventually. So you can do all that. This is kind of cool. You can see this is the outer edge, and you can see where there's a little beetle has gotten in here, but this is almost rubbery. This fiber here is very, very tender but tough, and it's rubbery, and this is where the nutrition of the tree would go. Then inside a little bit it gets harder, but it's pretty cool. This draw knife worked pretty well to debark as well as to smooth out where I didn't do a good job on the broad axe. And you can kind of smooth down the top of the log and get it nice and clean. But if you'll see on some of the older timbers, when you see these little, every foot you see like a little axe mark, which is definitely on the sill beams. That's where those came from. So anyway, pretty cool. Here you can see how the pine tree protects itself with the sap and rosin. So these beetles were burrowed inside, just inside the bark, and you can see that cavity filled with rosin, with sap, and killed them all. Basically drowned them in sap inside their own cavity. So a healthy tree can defend itself with its own sap. So, I mean, that's as slim as it gets. It's touching barely right there. So I may have to touch it up a little bit, but at least it fits. So I think we're gonna be okay.